Good afternoon. We're going to start on the preview for tomorrow. Bianca, kick things off.
Can I just ask a quick question about what we just heard?
Please do.
Chelsea becoming the first sports team to adopt the IHRA anti-Semitism definition. Frank, how important do you think this is for Chelsea, and what impact do you think it will make?
I think it's an important statement. We hope it makes an impact. That's the whole point. I think Bruce, Lord Mann and Dr. Meyer spoke very well about it, and they know much more detail than me, but in simple terms, as manager of the football club, I'm proud that the club makes such a strong stance against any form of discrimination, and will be active in that going forward, which I think today shows. Sometimes words are very easy, actions another thing, and we've always been very strong on that and will continue to do so.
Great. I just want to ask you quickly about Reece James as well. He's just signed his new contract, 5.5 years. Talk to me about how highly you rate him and how important it was to get him to sign this deal.
I rate him very highly. I knew him as a youth player in the academy here. I saw him on loan last year, do fantastically well at Wigan. Tried to get him to Derby, couldn't come in mid-season, but I admired him a lot, and then to work with him I feel the same, and even more so. He's got his foot into the first team, and I think there's a lot more to come from Reece James. Really talented player, like a lot of the younger players, not just the younger players, but to sort of focus on them. He wants to learn, he wants to improve, he wants to train, he wants to do the right things, and he has that talent. So great for the club that he's signed for so long.
In terms of transfers, we just heard Bruce say that he knows who's coming in. Has he told you anything?
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I'm taking him seriously.
Yeah, there is nothing imminent. There aren't people waiting in the wings that I don't know about, you don't know about. So there is no news on that front.
There's still speculation about Moussa Dembele and Boubakary Soumaré. Is there nothing that you can tell us about those potentially?
No, there's not, and I won't talk about any individuals. And there is nothing, as I say, imminent. They're not going to walk through the door, so I'm not embarrassed that there's going to be seen as something dishonest very soon. It's not. What remains the same is that the window is open, and if there's anything we can do to improve us, then we will attempt to do it, and we're very open and working on that one. But I'm also very aware of how I want the squad to be and how much we must focus on what is our job in hand here in the building, which is of even more importance in the short term. And that's to focus on Newcastle coming up tomorrow. So we'll keep working while the window's open. There may be news. As I say, I'm not closing the door as such, because I'll always want to improve us, but it has to be right in January.
In terms of the players that you still have and that could potentially be leaving, the likes of Willian, Giroud, I think Ross Barkley as well, as there's been talk. David Moyes certainly didn't rule that out, about getting him on loan. Are there anyone that's going to be leaving Chelsea?
There's no talk here of Ross Barkley going anywhere. He's our player. He's played the last couple of games and done very well. Been certain circumstances why Ross hasn't as featured as much this year, but I've got a lot of faith in Ross. So that was just news that I heard like everybody else this week, and I'm absolutely no feeling towards it. I'm very happy with him. Olivier Giroud, I think we know that there may be something that could happen. The good thing about Ollie is that he's so experienced, and I have a really good relationship with him, as does the club. So again, if all circumstances are right, that may happen, but it's not. So whilst it's not, he's our player. And Willian is not going anywhere. We know his contract is up at the end of the season. He's in conversations with the club, which is still ongoing, and there's no news on that, but he's certainly our player now.
Okay, I'll stop annoying.
Last one, Bianca, please. Then we've got to move on.
This is about Newcastle. Your away form's been strong. It's kept you in touch. You can now potentially go 8 points clear of Manchester United with a win. It's a real opportunity, isn't it, to do that and to consolidate your position?
It is an opportunity, but every game in the Premier League remains as vital, and this is like the same as all the others. And even though we have good away form in general, every game brings new challenges. And going to Newcastle, I know it as a player, I know it now. The emotion of the crowd, the support of the home crowd, the very organised team that they are, the manager that they have, and also the threats that they have, where they've got some really good results this season. So we'll be taking nothing lightly and expecting anything because of our away record or anything. We have to take this game head on, as we have to do in these games coming up now, because it's massively important that we keep our focus game in, game out, and we certainly do not underestimate Newcastle. You shouldn't do, because of the season they're having.
Okay, thank you.
Moose.
Having said that, to use a phrase that you'll be well aware of from your uncle, they are down to the bare bones in terms of players, with a lot of injuries. Is this a good time to play them?
No, because Bournemouth were relatively down to the bare bones and we played them and lost. This is the Premier League. I think the bare bones itself can bring out a different feeling in a team, in a stadium, in players, and I think the way Steve Bruce has handled this season shows, and people expect them to have a lot of difficulties this season, and I think they've fought against that and done very well. So I don't look at the bare bones. I also understand that some of their players may be coming back for this game. It's a bit of a tough one for us to approach in a way, because I think there's some individuals that may or may not play, influential players for them. So I'm not considering that side of it.
How much of a pivotal weekend is this? Because not many would expect Manchester United to win at Liverpool. It could happen, but no one's beaten them yet this season. And yet you are expected to win at Newcastle. So you could open up a sizable gap on everybody else in that battle for top four.
Yeah, but they're all ifs, aren't they? And that's one part of that we can control, which is us at Newcastle. So we have to give everything and try and get a result, because there have been moments recently where we could have got results that would have made us look more secure in fourth place, and we haven't. So we must try and learn from that. And on the same side, you look at Manchester United, nobody would have fancied them to go to Manchester City and win in the league. They did that, so I won't expect anything. What I want us to do is try and win our game, and then we can actually see what happens with the rest of the weekend.
The debate's already started about who will start for England in the summer, because it looks like Harry's might miss the Euros completely. Would you agree that Tammy's in pole position for that right now, with the form he's shown and the fact he's already scored and played for England this season?
Only Gareth can tell you that. From my point of view, I look at it generally, and with England and the competitive nature of the squads and how it goes on form and how you're playing for the club, you should never jump forward a few months and say anything or expect anything. I love what Tammy's done this year. We all know that. I speak about him most weeks here. And the way he's playing at the minute, of course, he's hugely in contention for that, but he has to sustain that performance and obviously hopefully improve it.
And just one more. We're hearing this morning that possibly referees and the way they deal with VAR will change this weekend, and they're actually going to go and use the monitors. Do you see that as being a positive?
What's the result going to be? I mean, it's one of those. I think it is. I understand the intensity of match day, and that there are some things from the referee's side that you may that there may be concerns with it. But I think where we are at with VAR, we all seem to have some doubts, and let's keep some power in the referee's hand on pitch, and I think we may get better results. So yeah, we'll see.
John.
Frank, on the race for the top four, do you think it'll be the usual suspects, or do you think Sheffield United and Wolves can actually maintain what they've so far done and push you?
Yeah, of course they can. I don't think the Premier League, the usual suspects one, works so well, because the landscape's changed a lot. A lot of teams have either invested money, invested wisely, improved, bringing something different to the table. The league is so competitive this year. So yeah, I'm certainly not looking. I don't think you should look with a prejudgment on any club or team. I think if they're challenging for top four and they can stay in the race, then they'll all believe.
And on the transfer window, how important is it to get some players in, or is it not? Is it not an issue if you don't manage to do it?
I think it will. So from my point of view, and so I'm not going to be absolutely open about it here because nothing's done yet. But from my point of view, if we can improve us, or as I see it, then that will be important. But at the same time, if I go striving for that and lose the balance of what we've got already, then I won't do that. But whatever happens, whether we bring in players or no players, the fight for top four is going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough all the way to the end of the season, because we couldn't do business in the window. We know there's a transition element to this year, and we know that we've had some inconsistencies here which we're working against. And there are other teams around us that have got lots of power and weapons that can win them a big run of games. So it's going to be tough no matter what, but we must just focus on ourselves, I suppose.
On the injuries, there was talk that Christian Pulisic is making quicker progress. Is that right?
No, but I don't know what kind of rate you were expecting or what.
So a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'd like to think so, which kind of goes towards the break for us at the start of February, which might fall at a nice time because it might give us a little bit more to play with, and hopefully he'll be back the other end of that break. But he's kind of in line with how we expect him to be.
I know we ask about Ruben every week, but is it taking longer than you?
Well, I can actually answer you better this week, which is nice for all of us, I'm sure. But he's actually training now with the under 16s. We'll train with the under 18s, progression to the under 23s in pretty short space of time. And the sooner he can be back with us training, the better. But obviously we train at a real intensity, and the injury, him being out for a long time, is very standard that you bring him through some of the academy years. And we're working in every way, but there's a different look on Ruben's face, more smiley and happy, which I absolutely understand. He looks fit. Tough. And he's not one that, the good thing is about him, he's not one that's walks around with his head down or creating a negative atmosphere, but it's just a lonely place, and that's for everybody. But yeah, he's integrating more towards us now, which is great news for all of us, because the player that he is, the lad that he is, I think he can be easily forgotten from the outside, that we've missed a hugely influential player for us. And hopefully we'll get him back over as I say, if he can be training with us after the break. It might still need some competitive games for him because of the nature of the injury, but he might not be far away.
Okay, cameras off, please.